Musclebox Radio episode number 33. So welcome back to the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So today I'm going to be joined by Team Box coach Michael Harrison.
Hello. Thanks for having me back.
I didn't have any choice, mate.
My turn.
It was just your turn on the rotor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. No way. Couldn't think of an excuse this week to not get me on.
Yeah. I had a haircut last week, so you knew I know I get them frequently, but weekly might be a bit much. But no, mate, it's good to have you on. So we're gonna have me and obviously Michael, we've been chatting about a load of random stuff, nothing really relevant to do with nutrition or anything, but we've basically decided that we're going to talk about dieting, aren't we? But we're not just going to talk about dieting, we're going to talk about mini cuts, they seem to be quite a popular buzzword at the moment, so we can kind of delve into a little bit of those, and then we can sort of talk about rates of fat loss, can't we, and weight loss, and how long you should diet, time frames, be aggressive or whatever, so we can sort of get into all of that stuff, really, can't we?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, this has sort of come off the back of, I've literally had, I think maybe 4 or 5 questions sent to me this week, and all of them, coincidentally, was saying, is it true that you can only lose 2 pounds of fat a week, and any more than that's going to be muscle? When should what do you do with a mini cut? So I think, yeah, just to clear it up once and for all and put a stop to it.
Put a stop to it, yeah.
Put a stop to all those questions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do like questions.
Oh, we love them.
We want more questions, actually. And I've had a great question today. Someone's emailed me in. So if you do want your question answered, you can email me at info@team-box.co.uk, or when I put out a weekly Instagram post, you can also ask a question on there. So yeah, 2 different ways. Or if you just, speak to one of the coaches, ask them a question, they can obviously save it for a podcast as well. So basically, just get your questions in and hopefully we can do some answering. Yeah. And I think what I'm going to do is I've got some nice questions here off someone, and we can sort of go over those at the end of the show. So that'll be nice. So how do you want to take things off then? Let's go from basics and build it up, Mike. When we say dieting, what are we referring to?
So usually dieting would be associated with a phase of fat loss. Although obviously diet would blanket the whole sort of nutrition spectrum, and you should have some awareness of your nutrition at all periods of time over the year, at least. But typically it's generally referred to as a fat loss phase, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So when we're in a fat loss phase, the biggest thing we're trying to do is reduce calories, aren't we? So
yeah, reduce calories or create a further calorie deficit by increasing expenditure. Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got 2 options: reduce food or increase activity, or a combination of the 2.
True.
So 3 options, not just 2. Or you could just not eat. That's always one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just stop eating.
Yeah, exactly. That would work to a point for a few days. But,
or, eat more, as people would like to call it.
Yeah.
No, you're all right now.
No, that doesn't work.
No, I'm not eating enough to lose weight. You are. You're eating way too much.
Yeah.
I can see it in your waistline.
Yeah, it is. I actually, I'll give him a shout out actually. So I met with my cousin yesterday, and he listens to the show. So, and he asked me about what are my thoughts on like the paleo diet, and I said as a principle, it encourages a lot of like good nutritious food, veggies, nuts, seeds, good meat sources, all that kind of stuff. So some pretty wholesome foods there, which are great. I just said it's a bit overly restrictive. Don't go thinking that you can't ever have milk and stuff like that. And, you don't necessarily need to cut out all grains in pulses and or whatever, you can still have a lot of those, and you can even have a little bit of, cake and ice cream here and there, and you're going to be all right. And I just basically said the reason why he's been losing weight is because essentially he's took out a lot of refined, not even necessarily refined, just he's took out carbohydrates basically. And he said, but I'm not feeling very hungry because I'm actually eating a lot of food. But a lot, I think, for some people is visually how big it looks.
Yeah.
Rather than a lot for someone who has an education in or an understanding in calories and macronutrients would understand that actually a lot. So you can just define a lot in different ways, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, either a lot of calories, a lot of volume, a lot of meals. Yeah.
So yeah, I think so for us really. When some people do promote I'm not going to say his name, but eat more approach, what he's probably meaning there is eat more volume of food and less.
You would hope so.
You would hope so, yeah. Until you look until you look at some of the recipes and you're like, you're just eating a lot, full stop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not certain that he thinks that, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. But yeah, that's yeah. So anyway, getting back to my point, simply all of these diets really, whether it's paleo, whether it's keto, intermittent fasting, Slimming World, cabbage soup diet, essentially they all, in a nutshell, reduce the amount of calories that you're ingesting if they work. If they're not working, it's because they're not actually achieving that, because potentially you might be eating, let's say you're on a keto diet. So a ketogenic diet is where you have a very, very high percentage of your diet coming from fats, a small to moderate amount from protein, and then barely any carbohydrates. So if you obviously overdo the fats, you can still put yourself in a calorie, or put yourself at calorie maintenance, or even in a surplus, and still not get the results. So yeah, it can sort of shift, and the paradigms can shift, which is why we're advocates of actually tracking the source that we know is going to help, which is calories, rather than trying to do it as a byproduct through these other ways, which aren't particularly consistent.
Yeah, you can use them as a tool, certainly, but like you said, they are. It always has to have the byproduct of being a calorie deficit, and people who aren't willing to track or at least have some idea of portion control, then at some point you are going to find ways of creeping in a little bit of extra food. Mm-hmm. Like when you realise that you can eat more cheese and bacon if you're keto. You're going to eat all the cheese and bacon, and you might eat enough that you're not in a deficit anymore. And you will start to find little ways of just sort of phasing out that deficit.
Yeah. In really, like if you've got someone who, I suppose, thinking this from a different angle, if you have someone who doesn't necessarily want to start tracking from the off, then giving someone, like a guide like intermittent fasting where you only eat between these windows, or let's say like a paleo diet where, okay, you're essentially going to remove these lists, because this is just a restrictive restrictive guideline plan, isn't it? If you break it down. So no dairy, no sugar, no sort of legumes, no grains. So that's just a set of rules, and like for some people, they're still going to be reasonably well nourished on that. It's not going to be amazing. There's not like a complete wide variety of food, as we know. But for some people who don't want to go to maybe the lengths of tracking and stuff, they might see some decent results to a point, and then when that plateaus, then it's time, I would say, to start tracking what you're doing. Oh yeah,
like at the end of the day, we've not always tracked, and we've probably seen decent results at some point using some method or another.
Yep.
And like I say, it's just the use of a protocol with the byproducts of a calorie deficit. Like if I told somebody, I don't want you tracking anything, and you're going from, it's just a client who's come to you, doesn't eat particularly very well, doesn't train, suddenly they're on a training plan, and then you give them something like, right, cut out carbs, just for example.
Yeah.
They're going to be struggling for food choices. They're going to eat predominantly a lot of protein. They might get a little bit of fat in, but typically not a lot of people eat, really high in fat foods. It typically comes with junk food, right? That their fat intake comes from. You don't see many people chowing down on a lot of avocado, olives, etc., unless they are, consciously health seeking. So until that time comes where they do start to expand those food sources, just by cutting out carbs, they're literally gonna limit their calorie intake just through sheer lack of probably imagination with their food or options that they've got available, and couple that with a fresh training program, you're going to see some progress from the get-go and immediately.
It's like a good example is when you go gluten-free, for example, if someone's using that as a weight loss tool, which I wouldn't recommend, by the way, but let's say you thought, right, I'm going to go gluten-free, it's going to help me lose weight. Straight away, you're going to reduce bread, cereals, cakes, biscuits, right? And then all of a sudden, you've just took away a huge portion of your day that you were probably eating on a regular basis. So you might have reduced calories by 600 to 700 a day, because if you're not eating pizza, pasta, and cream teas, and cookies, and muffins, and basically all the good stuff. Let's be honest. Cheesecakes, croissants, So you take all that out, then all of a sudden you're left with a massive calorie deficit, because you're just eating at that time. As you're kind of new to it, you're probably just eating what's gluten-free. Lettuce is gluten-free, chicken's gluten-free. So before you know it, you're eating chicken and lettuce, and then you're like, oh, there's a gluten-free aisle. So I can have bread again. It's fine because it's gluten-free. So bread's back in, then you find the gluten-free muffins, and then the muffins are back in. So you probably lose a bit of weight, and then you start to essentially go back to maintenance. And then start regaining weight again, because you'll start to eat the calories that you were eating before, but with much more expensive, less tasty, gluten-free foods.
Sounds so appealing.
Yeah, it sounds great, doesn't it? Yeah. But that's kind of just I always think a good example, really, of it. So what is then? What's a mini cut? How's a mini cut different to potentially a diet?
So a mini cut for me would be much of a shorter, sharper, more aggressive approach to dieting with a larger deficit, with the sole aim of getting in and out as quick as possible. Whether that's because there's an impending time frame, like a holiday in 4 or 5 weeks, or just if you're in an off season and looking to get rid of a little bit of body fat to start gaining again, because typically, a lot of people would want to spend a good portion of their time in a surplus if you are in an off-season and you're trying to develop some lean tissue. So it doesn't make sense to extend a diet over 16 weeks if you're not carrying a good amount of muscle mass. So spending less of a time in a deficit by implementing a mini cut will just allow you to get into a surplus a little bit quicker. So that for me would be a mini cut. I wouldn't really say that a mini cut would last much more than maybe what would you say, 6 weeks?
Yeah,
8?
it tops. Yeah.
And then obviously with a lot of weight to lose, so bigger sort of starters or people who are entering a contest prep, then I would always recommend a much more slow and steady, sustainable approach, which is going to, improve adherence over the long term, focus on healthy habits, and just have enough time there to cope with all the stresses and demands that diet brings and that life brings and things like that. So those are the sort of two differences I see mainly.
Yeah, and I think we need to be sort of clear, really. Like a mini cut is for those people, in my eyes, that are in a long period of a calorie surplus. So where they're quote unquote bulking, whichever way they want to do it, but basically eating more calories with the emphasis to gain muscle. But obviously through that process, those weeks, those months, potentially even years, you're going to gain some body fat. It's inevitable. You can't have one without the other. So yeah, it is a mini cut. It's for those people to go, do you know what? I wouldn't mind, just maybe getting some visible abs quickly just before I go on holiday. I know I'll probably do that before I go to Marbella. For me, I want to be, a little bit trimmer, so let's say. But that's because I'm having an extended off season. You don't want to do a mini cut a month after you've just stopped prepping. That's not what it's there for. A mini cut, if you've just done a show and obviously you're starting to regain some weight, which is natural and normal, you don't throw a mini cut in 1 month in because you want to try and get back to stage condition. That's not what it's for. it shouldn't be used in that way. It should be used of, okay, maybe do one 6 months later, post-show or post your diet, just to maybe, let's say you've gained 10 kilos, maybe drop off 3, and then you go again.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's a time and a place for it.
Yeah.
And then again, if you're starting from a position where you've got 4 or 5 stone to lose or something, then a mini cut's not really going to do anything for you, and you need to be looking at a longer sustainable approach rather than looking at, right, what's the quickest way I can lose weight. You will lose weight quicker at the beginning, but typically it's not going to last.
Yeah, no, definitely. So that's kind of I get people go, oh, can I do a mini cut? And I'm like, no, we've only just started off season. Like, no, we got to continue with this. Maybe 3 months after, you could literally do you could do 12 weeks, so 3 months of off season, good steady consistency, then maybe a little 2-week mini cut.
Yeah.
Could be that short, just to basically get rid of a kilo of body fat before you go again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, after I competed, I planned in a mini cut, which I think was that was about 11 or 12 weeks post show, like you said.
Yeah.
But then when I got there, and after some feedback from you guys, I changed the plans because I didn't need it.
Yeah.
And it's good to have sort of a rough guide, but it's about knowing when and where, and not being too hasty, like you say, trying to hold on to stage condition by getting straight back into a deficit. You're never really going to get anywhere if you're looking to progress in terms of lean tissue. Mm-hmm. So it's about using it smartly, and then when you do feel that you need to bring it in, then obviously making sure that you are adherent to that, because obviously it's going to be a little bit more aggressive. It is going to be hard. It's going to be much sort of more assertive from the get-go.
Yeah.
And it's just about then carrying it out and doing what it's set out to do, basically, whether that's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
And you have to be in a position, don't you, where you're actually ready to do that, because if you're going to go and try and do a mini cut, let's say a month after you've just competed, you're not going to be able to handle it. You're going to fail. Like, there's no way you'd be able to, because you're still recovering at that point, and there's no way you'd be actually able to then go, oh yeah, I can do a mini cut and literally, be that aggressive to sustain it. You'd end up going, oh, bugger it, I'm not going to do this. And all of a sudden, you're now eating things that you might not normally have in the quantities that you normally would. And then before you know it, you're spiraled out of control. You've lost your motivation, your consistency, and it's just thrown you off the rails. Whereas if you'd had like a more practical, long-term planned view of things, then now with what we do with our clients, we've got that timescale planner and things. We can put these things in and go, right, look, let's just go for 12 weeks, and then we'll do a mini cut. And then for some people who don't like regaining body fat or find the off season hard, then that's a great little tool to use, I think. Yeah,
100%. Certainly, like, you're not going to be in a position to aggressively diet having coming out the back end of a contest prep. Like, we're not trying to throw a dampener on anything, because we would all love to stay in that condition year round. Yeah. Like, if we didn't feel so bad, but like, it's not like we haven't tried, or like we haven't, or we wouldn't want that. We're not saying that you need to get fat and be okay with it. Like, we would love to do it, but just from experience, it's just not going to happen. And throwing yourself straight back into a deficit when you're that food focused, when training performance hasn't recovered, when you're tired, when there's no actual goal there anymore because the show's been and gone, it's not going to happen. And it's just going to lead to a poor relationship with food, because you're not going to stick to a mini cut for 4 or 5 weeks if you're just post show. Like, it isn't going to happen.
Yeah. Like, and it literally can take. I know for myself, I pushed myself harder than I ever did last year, and it's only now, probably the last month, I've started to feel normal again. Like, getting out of bed at a reasonable time where I don't feel dead still. Hormonally feeling more normal, more just generally better energy levels, a much better relationship with food, in terms of that I can now be bothered to cook. Not like my relationship with food is actually always pretty decent, I would say, but it's more the effort that I'm putting into my meals. That's changed, which is good. My level of motivation when I'm in the gym, very different now. And it's took me that long.
Massive. And if you're passionate about the sport, or passionate about changing or developing your physique, then you've got to look at it as like an even more important part than your fat loss phase, because all too often, too many people are so worried about losing, their ab veins or their cuts or whatever it is. And like you said, it's only now that you're actually training well, you're actually motivated to cook nice meals, and you get up, you're feeling right. Your relationships are probably better with people. If you're trying to stay that lean or trying to diet, that's not conducive to moving forwards, especially when it takes so long to recover, and you're just never really going to get anywhere. So you really got to commit to the process one way or the other. If you're dieting, you're dieting. But then if not, then commit to building something.
I am so obviously, Mike, you know this, but at the weekend, myself and Laura judged MASS SPC. So it's a student basically bodybuilding competition. So you can only compete if you're at university. And it's a fantastic event, great for people who are wanting to get on that ladder of competing, getting experience. It's a really nice supportive show, and then many people go on to do such really great events after that. For example, Josh Bridgman being one of those. He won his physique class back when he did MASS, and now he's a great competitor. And I know he listens to this show as well. So again, like from Josh, he's done absolutely fantastic within the ranks of the UK BFF, and he's gone from show to show, improving and everything like that. And it was really nice actually doing it last year, coming back again this year, and seeing the people that had took a really good off season and planned that they wanted to get better, they'd put more muscle on, and they came back leaner, and that was brilliant. Some other people maybe didn't put the effort in the off season and came back in a similar position as they did the year before. Because if you try and spend too long in a calorie deficit, if you had to look at your year as a pie chart and sectioned it off of how long you're spending in each of these zones, either in a surplus or a deficit, ideally, let's say over 3 years, you would have wanted to spend more of that 3 years in a calorie surplus.
What do you want to do? Do you want to grow?
Yeah,
it makes complete sense that you need to spend the majority of your time forcing some growth. And
even let's take this out of competitors, I suppose. Even if you're, just really love the gym, you just want to, build bigger arms, all that kind of stuff, like most guys do. Or, for example, a female just wants to, look good in leggings and all that kind of stuff. Then really each year you want to kind of go through these cycles of gaining muscle mass, reducing some body fat down. So then when you get to your leanest position, you'll regain a little in subsequent years or the years after, you'll gain more muscle mass, then get leaner again. So it's like you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But 3 years or 4 years down the line, you will probably be as lean as you are in your off season as you are in your first ever diet.
Definitely.
And you'll just have more muscle mass, much better shape, more aesthetic and all that kind of stuff, really. So then so each level you go to, it's like, like I'm now here with, 7 or so months now post-show, and I've still got pretty decent quad, hamstring, glute separation in my legs. I've never had that before in this level of off-season at the weight that I weigh. So each year, my set point, I suppose, for how much body fat I'm carrying is getting lower, although my weight's going up, which means I've got more muscle mass. So that's how you see those better improvements, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what the aim should be,
Yeah.
Like 80 kilos on the scale can look vastly different if you're 20% body fat to 10% body fat. And it's about trying to make those body composition changes so that, next year at that weight, you look a little bit better at that weight. And the year after, you look a little bit better at that weight, because then you've got slightly less fat and slightly more muscle tissue. And if you're not a competitor, it's actually conducive to potentially even more improvements. If you're fairly committed to seeing results in terms of your training performance, in terms of keeping on top of your nutrition, because you're not spending 6-7 months a year in a contest prep. You've actually got that time there where you can devote a bit more time to spend a bit more time either at maintenance or in a slight surplus, and spend a bigger period of the year improving your physique in terms of gaining. And that's no coincidence why a lot of natural athletes take years out in between shows because they need that time to commit.
Yeah.
And if you're not a competitor, you actually, I would potentially say, at an advantage over those guys who are competing every single year because you're spending more time in a surplus.
Well, that's it. Look at Emil. I mean, Emil spent most of his life, being a strongman, eating all the food in a permabulk for, I don't know how many years, 5-6 years. So not one diet was made during that time. And now look at him, he's an absolute beast.
I can't look at him. I can't. It makes me feel, depressed. I don't know whether to bulk, cut, or kiss him.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah, so that's good. So right, so then let's just give some examples then. So let's take this away from contest prep and let's bring it back to sort of normality a little bit. So you're either in your off season, let's be honest, it's summer coming. Everyone wants to get a little bit leaner for the summer, don't they?
Yeah.
So now, let's say we want to be lean by July, right? Mm-hmm. June, July, August, September, people like to go away, and it's just a nice time of year to maybe be a little bit leaner. Or if you're just thinking about doing a diet and you actually just want to lose some weight, then how are we going to do it? I mean, there is one way which I'm going to give you this is a little cheeky plug. We don't do many plugs on the show, but I'm going to do a plug anyway. So this week, when this is out, this podcast, we will be launching our group coaching program. So we ran a group coaching program in January. It was a trial program for 4 weeks, and we had 130 people sign up for it, which was fantastic. And essentially I've refined that process. I've got all the feedback from the trial, and it's now going to be for 6 weeks long. It's going to start on the 17th of April, and I'm just going to bring up the website address, because if you want to check it out, it's going to be 6 weeks long, and it's around £9.99 a week. So it's pretty good, I think, cost-wise. So you're looking at, I think it was $59.95, and then there are 25 early bird spaces, which are $49.95. But basically, in this group coaching program, you'll get 3 live Q&As a week from all the coaches. So myself, Mike, Emil, Chris, Dan, Laura. Have I missed anyone?
No, that's it.
That's everyone. So we'll do 3 live Q&As a week, but this program's going to teach you how to do it for yourself. We're going to give you all the spreadsheets that you need in order to track all your nutrition, give you all the tips and tricks, and you can check in each week. And there is also a prize for the best transformation as judged by us. So we'll probably judge on different criteria, but we're going to give away £150 cash just as a kind of a well done and a thank you for sort of that person's hard work in participation. And it's just that little bit of incentive, isn't it? Who doesn't want 150 quid cash? I would.
I'd have it.
I would have it. I might enter.
There's no chance I'll win it.
So if you want to sign up or just find out more information, there's a video on the website. You can check that out. And if you check out the video, you can download the syllabus. There's a little timetable of each week, what we're going to be doing. You'll be given infographics each week. There'll be like example recipes, example training programs that you can get in amongst it. And just be in a really good supportive community and just have that accountability, because that is the most important thing. So if you go to team-box.co.uk/nutrition-coaching. What was it, Mike?
team-box.co.uk /nutrition coaching.
Yeah, so team-box.co.uk/nutrition-coaching. I'll put links at the back end of this and everything like that, and obviously on social media, so you can check that out. But we'd love to work with you guys. Now if you've been listening for a while, you've kind of got to know us, and we would like to get to know you really. And this is just a great introduction way of seeing like what coaching with us is like. Hopefully we'll impress you.
I think it's perfect. Obviously, like you said, with summer coming up in 12 weeks, something affordable to most people, and judging by the feedback that we got from the 130 people from the first one, it's more than worth it with the content that we provide and the level of support that we will give. It's not just crack on, here's this. there is a lot of support along the way.
Some people said like, oh, they pay 150 quid for this, and I was like, But yeah, £10 a week. I mean, what can you buy for? What would you have to sacrifice just for £10 a week?
CLA.
CLA. Take out your CLA supplement.
That's it.
Yeah.
And your fat burners.
And your
That's
what?
it. Your fat burners, and that's it.
Yeah.
Done. Paid.
Or you can take away maybe 2 pints,
Yeah, something like that. 2-3 pints.
one
Half-
less bottle of wine a week,
Yeah.
3 Starbucks.
Yeah.
What else
Well-
is £10?
I don't know. I reckon. Not much, anyway.
Yeah.
Not much. You can't get out these days.
The cinema ticket is like 15 quid now.
It's ridiculous.
I went the other day. Me and Laura went to the cinema. 50 quid.
That is horrendous.
Granted, we both had a little bit of pick and mix, and I had a large popcorn, and we had 2 drinks, a popcorn to share, 2. I'm not gonna 2 small bags of pick and mix, and 2 seats in the cinema. It wasn't even a 3D film.
That's ridiculous.
50 quid.
That's in Bath, though, isn't it? 'Cause
Well, Bristol, yeah, yeah.
in Rotherham, where I'm from, you could buy a cinema for 50 quid, I think.
But yeah, that's group coaching right there.
It is.
That's it.
Well worth it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, and we'll give you loads of laughs along the way. But anyway, so the group coaching program is going to be 6 weeks long, and essentially we're going to show you exactly how you need to track your calories, how you get and find how many calories that you need per day just to stay the same. So that's your maintenance value, and then we're going to introduce a calorie deficit through a combination of cardio or food restrictions in terms of calories, and but show you how to make great choices. Teach you how you can track and eat out, how you can track your alcohol that you might have, and basically set up the appropriate deficit for you for the next 6 weeks, and then give people guidance on how they should be then, continuing with that. And if it all goes well, then we might just continue it. Who knows? We'll see what the vibe's like. I mean, the options are endless, really. But again, it's a nice little way of going, okay, so a diet for 6 weeks, let's see what can be done. And I know last time people got some insane results, didn't they? And that was only 3 weeks.
yeah, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. But there really is nothing. Like I was saying to you, obviously before we came on, like just how sort of pleased I am that there's nothing like it, like the hybrid in between. The one-to-one coaching, and then the group coaching is just a nice step in between.
Yeah.
And you can still get incredible results.
Because you get, on one hand, you see a lot of online plans you can buy for 100 quid or something, and it's like a sort of it's generic, isn't it? Let's be honest. You can't just have a downloadable PDF file which is bespoke. This is just not going to happen. So you see a lot of those sort of mass plans or get shreds and all that sort of stuff, but they obviously don't have any accountability. So yeah, they might put in a calorie deficit in whichever way that person's decided is a good way, which often is pretty terrible. And there's much better ways of doing things. I know because I've tried them, and I've bought those plans. But there's no accountability, is there, at all?
No.
And then on the other extreme, you've got our kind of premium coaching, which is 1-to-1, weekly check-ins, weekly talks. I know my clients so well because we've got such a great relationship because I speak to them so much. So it's kind of like that middle ground.
100%. I mean, I can give you one of those shred plans right here for free. Eat chicken and broccoli for 5 meals a day for the 6 weeks.
Hit every day, right? Fasted.
Every day, fasted. Right, that's it. Done. That's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So if you want something a little bit more than that, then
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's like a good analogy, probably Laura's only decent analogy I think she's ever said, if I'm honest. She comes out with some analogies, but this is probably her only decent one. What you say, Mike?
She must have stolen it from somewhere then.
I probably said it when I was sleeping or something, or whatever, and she probably picked it up off me, and I probably forgot I said it. The standard drill. But anyway, so her analogy is it's like your mass plans are like a Davina do it yourself DVD at home.
Yeah.
And then you've got obviously you've got your middle ground, which is going to a sort of like a group class. And this is, let's be honest, why CrossFit is so popular, because they've got a community. They get people together. They get some instructors to look over people's form, or what the good places do anyway. So they watch over people's form, and then essentially they can make sure that, you know, it's not that quite one-to-one technique and skill work, but they're keeping everyone going and motivated and accountable. And then you've got the one-to-one stuff, which is, okay, we're going to do some, you know, technical drills and all that sort of stuff. Get that, you know, like if you were to have a one-on-one PT, basically. In some of the research that came out this week is showing that group training is probably the way forward with things anyway.
Nice.
So, boom, evidence-based practice. That's what we like.
There we go.
Yeah, nice. So if you do want to sign up, you need to go to where, Mike? Can you remember?
team-box.uk/nutrition-coaching.
Boom. Wait, if Mike knows, there is literally no excuse.
I'm listening. Honestly.
So yeah, so that's how we're going to do it. So anyway, let's get into dieting then. Let's talk about some sort of difference in time frames and stuff. So Mike, I'm going to give you some examples and you can tell me the best approach to do that, okay?
Yeah, I'm probably going to lose my job after this, aren't I?
I'm going to give you some case studies. Okay, so Mike, I'm going to actually start off with me because it's easy. I'm 28 years old.
Yeah.
I think I'm 28. Yeah. So I'm 28. I train 4 to 5 times a week. I do a bit of mix of powerlifting, a bit of bodybuilding training. That's how I roll. I'm not doing any cardio at the moment. I'm 80 kilos at the moment, or 81, and I'm going on holiday mid-June. Okay. Now, I'm reasonably lean, I would say. I've got like a slight visible outline of abs, you know, I've got a bit of quad definition. So I reckon if I was to lose 4 kilos, I'd probably be at a decent, you know, like feeling confident, you know, with my shirt off, you know. How would you go about it? Would you start me dieting now? I don't know. You decide. How would you do it?
So mid-June, I would probably start and give you about 6 weeks, I'd say. So you've got 10 pounds there to lose. 6 weeks is pretty doable. So I wouldn't start, because obviously you're already fairly lean. So if you're just going to lose 4 kilos, I'd give you about 6 weeks. Be fairly aggressive with it. I'd ask you how much time you had to commit to cardio, whether you wanted to cardio, and that would dictate the amount of calories.
I don't want to do any cardio.
So I'd be more aggressive with your calories, provided that I felt that you were adequate to stick to those calories for a period of 6 weeks. If I felt that if I'd been coaching you prior and there'd been some issues with adherence or tracking, then I'd potentially give us a little bit longer, so that the deficit had to be less severe.
Yeah.
And just give us a little bit extra time, and there's no harm in getting ready slightly early.
So
if that was the case.
Just to give you my current calorie intake, I am slightly gaining, probably by, let's call it, a kilo over a month, okay. On 4,000 calories.
Nice.
So my maintenance is probably 3.5, isn't it? If a little bit higher, maybe 3.7.
3.7, I'd say, yeah. Like if you're gaining half a pound a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's work off the rough rule of 3,500. Yeah. So you're probably 1,700. So
where would you take my calories down to for those 6 weeks, so that I lose that 4 kilos over 6 weeks? So you're looking at about 0.7 of a kilo, aren't you, per week loss? Yeah.
So roughly then you would look at a rough estimate would be 3,500 calories per pound as a rule of thumb.
Or half a kilo. So a pound is about half a kilo, isn't it, just for people listening?
Yeah, half a kilo.
Yeah.
So you would then, looking at losing 4 kilos, you would then times 8, because obviously there's 8 halves in 4, yeah?
Yeah.
8 by 3,500 calories, and that would give the total amount of deficit required.
Yeah.
So that would be, 3,500 times 8. So that's 28,000 calories.
Yeah. So to give you a look, we use at Teambox. We've got our own little what are they called?
acronym?
Acronyms, yeah. So we use something called the total required deficit, so the TRD. So our TRD in this instance is how much? 24, did you say?
28,000?
28,000 calories.
Yeah,
I
roughly.
need to be in a calorie deficit over those 6 weeks. So obviously, whichever way you want to do it, you could try and do that in a day and literally just go and try and walk for 28,000 calories. It's obviously not doable. So then we need to split this over a time period. So we've chosen 6 weeks. The bigger that TRD number, the longer that you're going to have to diet for, or more aggressive that you're going to have to be each day, aren't you?
Yeah.
So then we break that down into total required weekly deficit. So that's TRWD. So then what you do is you take that 28,000, that total, that basically the TRD, the total, and you divide it by how many weeks you have. So where are we? Where's the numbers at so far?
So then we're roughly looking at about a 4,600 calorie deficit for the week then.
Okay.
Because obviously we're looking at losing, more than that. So yeah, 28,000. Did I do my maths correct first?
Let's just check. So you basically work off the rule of 3,500 calories is around half a kilo. Okay. So you take how many kilos you want to utilize, which is, or get rid of, 4, times that by 2. Yeah, because there's, so 4 times by 2 is 8. Then you times that by 3,500, which is 28,000. You're right.
28.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Or you could simply do it as there's around 7,000 calories in a kilo of body fat. So
yeah.
you just times 4 by 7. So then what you do is you divide that 28,000 by how many weeks you want to diet for.
By 6.
We've gone 6. So
4,666.
Nice. So then, if I want to know how much I need to reduce my daily intake by, which is our TRDD, total required daily deficit, then
666.
How much?
666. So working off the rule that, let's say you were maintaining at 3,700, you would drop to about 3,100 with no cardio.
Yeah. So if I wanted to do some cardio, how would we work that out? Let's say I'm going to tell you that I'm happy to do 1,000 calories worth of cardio a week. So now what would the numbers be? We take the 28,000.
28,000.
Divide by 7.
Divide by 6.
Sorry, 6, yeah, sorry. 28,000.
And then you take away 1,000.
So, yeah, because we're going to do 1,000 of exercise. So now we're left with 3,666. Divide that by how much per day, right? You need to eat less then.
And yeah, so then the deficit from food needs to be 523 calories. So then obviously that would equate to about 3,200.
Perfect.
Easy.
And that's how you do it. Obviously, yeah, in terms of, that for me, at my level of calories, that's pretty doable, right? I could probably just do it without doing cardio at the moment because my calories are reasonably high. I'm obviously fairly active day to day, and my training must be all right. But obviously, if your maintenance calories is much, much lower, and obviously on the group coaching program, we'll show you how to find that maintenance, then you're not going to be, let's say your maintenance calories is 1,800, you're not going to be able to reduce your intake by 600 per day because you've just literally sliced your calories by a third.
Yeah. It's about being in a good start point, and obviously that example you've given me is a great start point. So, like, if I felt that obviously you could diet a little bit more aggressive than that, because obviously 3,100, 200 is doable.
Yeah.
If you were happy with that and you wanted to diet for 6 weeks on that, because that's quite comfortable, that doesn't really take much effort to stick to that.
Yeah.
There's no excuse going over that. That's, you're not digging. I've seen you stick to 1,800 calories. There's no real excuse why you couldn't stick to that. But if you did want to lose a little bit quicker, then it would just be about adjusting it.
Could I do it in 2 weeks?
I wouldn't say 2 weeks.
2,800. No, sorry, 28,000. 28,000, isn't it? Right? Divided by 2 is 14,000 a week.
Right. So that's 2,000 calorie deficit a day.
Yeah.
So eat 1,700 calories.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. So if I was to do, let's say, 2,000 calories worth of cardio a day,
Yeah.
So we minus off 2,000.
2,000 a day, a week.
Sorry, a week, my bad. So then we're at 12,000. Divide that by 7. Then I'm basically taking off 1,700 off my 3,700. So yeah, that 2,000 calories I could probably stick to. But
Yeah.
it's not going to be that nice compared to chilling on 3,000 over 6 weeks.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on how fast or slow you want to do it and how your adherence is going to be compromised. It's all well and good having a rough plan, and I'm typically cautious in the fact that I would always prefer to give more time just to be on the safe side.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't ever let you get to the point where we're 2 weeks out and we've got 4 kilos to lose. I wouldn't ever want to do something that drastic. I know that you could stick to it,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I don't want to risk it for the sake of it. Just for the sake of another couple of weeks leeway, make it a lot easier on yourself and just cruise in. And all in all, within that 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks extra dieting, what you've had, were you going to be developing that much lean muscle mass within those 4 weeks if you were in a surplus?
Exactly. What am I going to gain in if I just did an extra 4 weeks of, surplus in terms of muscle mass?
Nothing.
Nothing. So
we're not talking we're dieting you for a holiday for 26 weeks, where you are then compromising muscle gain.
Yeah.
It's a couple of weeks. It's going to allow you to just cruise in, make it a little bit easier. You're going to feel confident on holiday, and then we can get right back to either maintaining or gaining when you get back. And
Mike, I've been playing a little game with everyone who comes on.
Oh God.
Yeah. Now I'm going to name something. You're going to give me an example, then I'm going to give an example, okay?
Okay.
So, let's start with, we're going to do fast versus slow dieting.
Yeah.
I would like pros of fast dieting. Go.
Okay. Pros of fast dieting, quick initial results, a lot of weight loss.
Whoa. One,
quick initial results.
Quick initial results. Yeah. I'm going to go for less time being restricted.
More weight loss in a shorter space of time.
Okay. I'm going to go for
Yes. Do I win?
Damn it, there's not many pros of fast weight loss, I don't think.
What about some people like...
You don't need such level of focus for so long, which is kind of like my first one. But anyway, I think you win this one.
Some people feel like they need to grind, or they like the feeling of, now I'm on a diet.
Increased motivation.
Yeah, I mean, I've had it in the past where sometimes it's almost been a little too easy and people can't believe how easy it is to stick to a diet. Then when it's time to dial it in, it might have been that easy that they don't realise that when we do need to dial it in, you actually need to dial it in. So sometimes people might just want a bit more restriction.
The quicker you do it, the quicker you can get back into an off-season.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's some pros. Cons, go.
Very restrictive.
Okay, so when you mean very restrictive, you mean...
So very restrictive in terms of calories.
Cool. So for me, there's going to be less chance to eat out, less chance to be in social occasions and bits and pieces like that, basically to have fun. So less of that because you're not going to have the time.
Harder to stick to.
Yep. More likelihood of binging.
More likelihood of non-adherence, put it that way. Yeah, okay. Non-adherence.
A more dramatic impact and negative impact on your training performance.
Nice. Could lead to poorer relationships with food.
Yeah. Greater levels of hunger.
Increased risk of lean tissue loss.
Nice, good one. Oh, moody. Everyone's moody when they're hungry.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm stumped now.
So I win that one. 1-1.
It's pretty awful, to be honest.
Yeah, but clearly there are more cons than pros, I think, for fast weight loss.
Definitely.
So, slow weight loss, pros. And now, obviously, we're going to have to try and compare this, because at the end of the day, with all these we've just listed, the cons and the pros are still the same. You're dieting. There's no two ways around it. You're still going to suffer those same effects, but to probably, well, some maybe more of a degree and some to less. So I'm going to give you an example. If you do a longer diet, you need to be focused and consistent for a much, much longer period of time, which in itself is a stress.
Yeah.
That's my.
So we start off with negatives, yeah.
Yeah.
So slower results at the beginning can obviously lead to lack of initial motivation.
Yeah. Yeah, like, again, less feeling like it's working.
Yeah.
So you're going to be more likely to try and do other stuff because you're like, oh, it's not working, it's not happening. People are impatient, aren't they?
Yeah, so a longer period of time that you have got to be completely sort of bang on, so to speak. So consistency over a much longer period.
I think that was my first one, but I'll let you have it.
Worded it different.
You've worded the same thing different. Nice.
I tried to sneak it in. I knew it was a thing.
So I'm going to go for a longer time of... No,
duration.
An extended duration of focus. Yeah, I mean, again, the cons are all there, aren't they? But it's just to some to a lesser degree. But the only biggest one is that you need to be consistent for longer, really, I think. Yeah. Over faster weight loss. And obviously, if you don't have a coach, it can be tempting to really step things up. Because with, it also does depend on how much you have to lose as well. Obviously, as we just kind of went over with like the total required deficit, you want to make sure you're doing manageable chunks each day and each week and each month. And obviously, so some pros then of just slower weight loss.
Greater lean muscle retention.
Yep. I'm going to go for increased flexibility within the time frame. So that means you could, for example, pause it for a while and have a diet break. So where you just go back up to maintenance calories or something. It allows you to eat out more. So just basically more flexibility to have days where you're not dieting. Greater
sustenance of training performance.
Ooh, nice. Nice big words as well.
Oh, yeah. Get the thesaurus out.
Yeah. Pros of long-term dieting. Less stressed because you'll be kind of ready probably sooner than you're not battling against time.
Less of a deficit to stick to. So obviously less of the negatives that are associated with lower calorie dieting.
Yeah. I can't really think of any more now.
Yes.
You can win that one. But yeah, like we said, they're kind of, it's literally a case of picking your poison, isn't it?
Yeah, it's individual based on like a multitude of things. Obviously, the starting point, how adherent one is, because some people are probably going to want a bit more of an aggressive diet. Other people might be able to sustain a longer one.
Yeah.
Some people might not have the willpower to do 26, 27 weeks of dieting.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you've got to look at it on an individual basis, and there's no right or wrong way. There's pros and cons to both, and like you said, you're going to get those negative feelings of everything that comes with dieting, one way or the other. Whether it's, from fast or short, at some point you're going to have to dig really, really hard. Yeah. Your calories are going to come down. You are going to be restricted. You are going to have to sacrifice meals out, alcohol.
Your sleep's going to be reduced. Your training performance is going to be reduced. Yeah. You might lose some strength, some muscle mass. Yeah, it's all there. Hormones.
Yeah. Basically, dieting and fat loss is awful. Like, the results are great, but actually going through the process is, for most, not a fun experience.
It's why I think a lot of people, when they do a bodybuilding contest, and they're not happy with the result, and they'll blame like the judging or something like that, you know, and it's, oh, I was robbed and all that kind of stuff, because everyone's suffered to get there.
Yeah.
But they feel like they're entitled to win or something or do well because they suffered. Well, really, everyone suffered. We're really selling this, mate. We are really selling this. But it's just a true, and hopefully, you know, if you're listening now, you kind of know that me and Mike are kind of, you know, honest and stuff, and the other Team Box coaches as well. We do give an honest and down to earth approach of things. But yeah, it's just good to understand what's involved with it all, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, and obviously we've probably got a lot of competitors who have maybe experienced quicker dieting and maybe interested in going for a slower approach next time, and vice versa.
So let's quickly whiz through these questions. The individual wanted to stay anonymous, so I'm not going to read out their name, but it's important to know that they are female. I think I can say that. So the questions are, Mike. So I've recently gone through a weight gaining phase where I've been doing strength training and I've put on around 5 kilos. My calories have increased and are around 2,000 maintenance at the moment. I think this is quite low for someone who trains 5 to 6 times a week, mainly hypertrophy workouts with some HIIT thrown in. So I wanted to increase calories because who doesn't want to be eating more? She's right. If I weighed more, would I need to eat more? But I don't want to have any more body fat. So I'm not sure how or even if I should push up my calories without gaining fat. So how do we approach this? One thing we don't know is how much that person weighs. So we don't know if that 5 kilos that she's gained is significant in terms of that overall body weight. So we're going to have to sort of speculate a little bit. But let's say this person is, I don't know, 60 kilos.
Yeah, so if she's 60 kilos and she's put on 5 kilos, then 2,000 calories, unfortunately, that is a low body weight. You know, and if you're a female, pretend you've obviously got a lot less muscle mass. So,
to be fair, 2,000 calories isn't, for a maintenance, I wouldn't say isn't that low for someone who is probably quite lean. You know, or like relatively lean in terms of the general population, right? I'm not on about like stage lean or stuff like that, but I'm on about in the general grand scheme of things. So, yeah.
Like, for me and you, right, you sit there saying that you're on 4,000, like, it's easy to admire and to be jealous of other people's calories that they can eat. You know, I've got clients who I physically feel sick giving them their calories because they're maintaining their weight of 4,500 calories. Yeah. And some coaches wear that as like a badge of honor, like they've done something special to get them there.
I literally hate eating 4,000 calories every day.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and it's like I genuinely wish I could give everybody enough food that they're comfortable with. Yeah. But you can't. And like, if you are genuinely maintaining on 2,000 calories and there's no adherence issues, it's not 2,000 calories in the week and 4,000 on the weekends. Like, if it is genuinely 2,000, and you are gaining weight,
we don't know how quickly this person's gained that 5 kilos either. So, I think for me, what I would do in this instance is, let's say this person's gained 5 kilos over 6 months, and they've gone from being 55 up to 60 or 60 up to 65, something like that. You know, then I would potentially, if you're at that position where body fat's feeling a little bit on the edge of kind of the upper end of where you're comfortable, then potentially do a mini cut, lose 2 kilos. So you're still up by 3, and you probably would have gained some muscle mass over that period of time, and you're still going to continue to weight train. So you might even gain a little bit of muscle mass while you're in a, you know, little diet for a while. So I would essentially do a little mini cut, maybe 6 weeks, get rid of a couple of kilos, and then start to build things back up again, creep those calories back in, maybe take them up to 2.2, something like that. So you might have to drop down a little bit for a little while, then go back up to a little, so then when you're at 2.2, for example, you might start to gain those 2 kilos or 3 kilos that you lost back, but essentially, you will be maintaining on a little bit higher. But we're not talking lots, but over the years, that will become better if you continually do that.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's again, but she would have to be objective about how that 5 kilos are sitting. Yeah. How does she look? Does she feel uncomfortable? Does she genuinely feel uncomfortable? Does she feel like she needs a mini?
Because
yeah,
if you are obviously going to push calories up, and you can always sometimes push calories up by a small amount and not really notice anything at all. Like you could eat, let's say you're maintaining at 2,000. You could probably put in 2,2, and your weight might not even budge at all, because your training performance might take a little jumps. You know, you add in a bit more extra volume, make sure you like maybe walk around a little bit more. You know, neat would probably go up a little bit. So sometimes that could just balance itself out straight away. So that's possible.
there's people who adapt both ways, who have adaptive metabolisms. You feed them a little bit, and all of a sudden their neat's upregulated, they're training harder, and it doesn't touch the sides, and they're able to push calories higher. But then you have the people who are unfortunate, who you add a little bit of food and their neat doesn't improve. Maybe through no fault of their own. Maybe they just have a really sedentary job, or what that might be, or their training performance. They might not know how to train correctly. They might not have got a structured program, and they're not able to push calories as quick. And again, it's going to be individual, but it's going to take time for her. And you can't think that all of a sudden in a couple of weeks' time I'm going to be maintaining my weight on 3,000 calories.
Like 1,200 is low, I would say, if someone maintaining their weight there, but 2,000 not too bad. So anyway, got another question, Mike, and I'm gonna have to wrap this up pretty quick, the podcast. So she said, also, what about Weetabix? I saw your post about having Weetabix and was inspired, so went and got some, the plain version, because I want it to be old school. I noticed the second ingredient is sugar, which worries me, but then I think, okay, no problem to have it post-workout, and the amount of sugar is actually quite low. I've since had one as a snack in a mid-afternoon and on a different day, one before bed, as well as pre-bed oats, because carbs were super low. So I assume that means over the day she needed to play catch-up on her carbs. I feel like this is really bad, though, because it's not post-workout, plus it's right before I go to sleep. I hit protein for the day and fiber too, eating lots of veg, like 4 different each meal. So what do we think to that one?
I'd say it's absolutely fine. You're stressing over nothing.
Yeah.
Wouldn't need to be post-workout. There's no particular reason why you would need to. Don't worry about the sugar. It's absolutely fine. You've hit your fiber. You've hit your protein. You're obviously aware of your carbohydrate amount, because you've said that you needed to hit your carbs by getting in some oats. It's absolutely fine. And sugar isn't the demon that gains weight. And like I put a post out the other day just saying, if you only ate like a bag of jellies a day, would you gain weight? No, you wouldn't gain weight. So is it the sugar? So when would you gain weight? Well, when you ate more.
Yeah.
So when you eat more, it's then the quantity then, surely.
Yeah, exactly. It is the quantity, but of overall calories, that is the problem. And with that, a lot of high sugary foods come in with that, but then obviously sugar gets the bad rap. But for some people that are maybe potentially morbidly obese with diabetes, then maybe their sugar intake has to be watched per se. But with this individual who's asked the question, they're weight training, they're doing some HIIT, they're maintaining on 2,000 calories. They're aware of calorie intake. So the amount of sugar in
same lady, right?
Yeah, so it's the same person. So
if she's hitting 2,000 calories as she is, and she's also hitting her fiber and her protein, there's not enough calories left there to be worried about that she'll be eating sugar from. Do you know what I mean? Like if she's hit her fiber and her protein, the amount remaining left is not going to be astronomical. Like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
I wouldn't worry too much about it. So then this same lady, her third question. So 3 questions, quite cheeky really, but we're going to go with it. So this brings me on to my last question. My brother argued with me that to get properly shredded and to look amazing, you need to be eating chicken, rice, oats, sweet potato, broccoli, fish, and spinach, etc. The typical quote-unquote bro meals. I argued that crumpets, for example, are not really any different to rice if you have the same amount of calories worth, apart from the fiber, which I get enough of every day anyway. So can you look super lean and shredded? Could you compete and do well in fitness bikini bodybuilding comp eating crumpets, toast, sugary things? Or would it actually have an effect on body composition? Or is it as long as you've got your calories and macros on point, then it doesn't matter where they've come from?
Yeah, you're right, and your brother is wrong. You can. Every coach, all of us did it.
Yeah.
We're no different. All of our clients do it. It's not, and again, it's not one of those N=1s. That there's studies that back this up as well.
Yeah.
Like that, if you're swapping something out for similar macronutrient quality and your micronutrients are covered, fiber, etc., you're absolutely fine.
Yeah.
The word he used was you need to eat. So the word need there is just not necessary. You can eat those foods and get.
The thing is, yeah, like, let's be honest, chicken, rice, oats, sweet potato, broccoli, fish and spinach are an absolute staple in my diet when I'm in prep, because they are low calorie options to help me hit my macronutrients, which are single ingredient foods. They're filled with micronutrients and all that kind of good stuff. So they are great foods, but that's not saying like you couldn't have a crumpet on the side.
What did we eat before we got on stage the day before?
We had a Nando's, didn't we?
What did we have the week before when we had the shoot? We had another Nando's.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
Like, you're right and your brother's wrong. So like that. We're not saying those foods are bad and that they shouldn't be eaten, and we're also not saying you can just eat crumpets and sugary items, etc. Because if I had to pick one of those two diets, I know which one I'd go for if I was trying to get super shredded. But if you are looking at your overall calories, your overall macronutrients, you're getting enough protein from leucine rich sources like me and Emil spoke about on the last episode, you're getting a load of veggies in from different varieties, different colors. You're hitting your fiber, and you've got a good amount of fats in there just to keep regular body function, and you're getting some good carbohydrates in there as well. Then you can mix and match as you wish, and providing you don't go over your overall calories, your daily targets, you're going to get shredded. I did it, you did it, the research says you can do it, a lot of people do it, and Good answer.
Yeah, boom. Right, and on that bombshell, I think we'll leave it.
Let's do it.
All right, mate. Well, anyway, thanks again for coming on the show. My batteries are literally about to die, so it's a good time to sort of wrap this up.
Pleasure, mate.
But
Pleasure.
Guys, remember, we'd love to work with you, like we said. So if you want to come onto the group coaching program, there's only 125 places, 25 early bird spots, around £10 a week. You won't regret it, I promise you. No one literally had any regrets in the last series. Everyone absolutely loved it. The feedback we got was fantastic. So yeah, www.team-box, so a hyphen's one of those little dashes, team-box.co.uk/nutrition hyphen coaching.
Yeah, hopefully people weren't spelling out hyphen, Hopefully they were putting a dash.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for clearing that up.
Well, sometimes like the old underline in the dash, because they're next to each other, they can be confusing,
It's true. It's easily done.
Yeah. All right, mate. Well, we'll leave it there. And guys, we'd love to work with you. So getting amongst it before I think deadlines close like the 16th of April. So you haven't got long. You got literally, when this goes out, about a week. So hurry up. Get your space. Ciao.
Bye.